You are once again welcome to COLONIALISM Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. Still today, Saturday the 20th of November 2021, I am your servant, Evangelist Collins Inuma. Also, Inuma Evangelist Inuma Carlo, the manager of this platform, Inuma Treasury, Collins Inuma Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. And also the manager of Evangelist Collins Inuma Treasury of Excellent Knowledge, which is the new channel for my Christian activities. That is both on Facebook and on YouTube. As time goes on, we'll continue to advance. I greet on my personal behalf, as usual, greeting you on the behalf of the Lord of the universe, Jesus the Christ. And also say to you, good evening from my base, as the time right now from here is 3:30 p.m. So it is a continuation of this program. I have made the part 9 of Christianity versus religions and political colonialism in Africa, and the full emphasis is Biafraland. This is Biafraland part 3. And Biafraland part 1, 2, 3, it contains the part 8, part 9, and part 10 of this topic, Christianity versus religions and political colonialism in Africa. It is from here you develop right concept and psychological development about the Christianity, the effect of Christianity, religions, and political colonization in Africa. It is from here you accurately differentiate the differences between Christianity and religions, and which one is the real Christianity, what is the purpose, the emphasis, or the purpose, the essence, or the mission of the real Christianity, which must be contrary to the fraudulent Christianity being paraded all over Africa and the entirety of the world. And why are the Africans more victimized than the rest of the world regarding political colonialism, regarding false Christianity, and regarding religions like Islam, traditional religions, and the rest of other sorts of religions like Hinduism, other sorts of religions. There are millions or million types of religion, but Christianity is not a religion. The real Christianity is not a religion. It is a way of fellowship between God and man as chosen and established by God. That is a medium with which God reaches to his people. But religions are medium with which humanity seek to get to God. This is humanity trying to get to God, and God coming to reach out to humanity whom he has created and has fallen away from faith. It is a means of reconciliation between humanity and God, and between humanity in its entirety. That is the essence of Christianity, and also developing human life and achieving the well-being of all human being in the right way to establish peace and tranquility all over the earth. That is what Christianity stands for. But because of satanic hatred on Christianity and Jesus Christ and of the Christians, which he has influenced humanity with, the real Christians, the real Christianity and Jesus Christ is being hated by the world. However, we keep on proclaiming the real gospel, which is established on the truth and on the super truth, which is the truth of God's word. So the video you are watching, you are looking at previously, is the same video with which I have made the part 9 of this topic. This is part 10, and I want to continue playing the video from each 2 hours 22 minutes, and this to the end it should continue the interactive section of the program, which was streamed in the New Heritage International Ministry as led by Sister Chinwe Acholonu. The people you are looking at there as follows are Chinwe Acholonu, which is the host of the program, the woman on top with spectacle. Then the woman, the both of them are fair. Then the woman wearing sleeveless is Dr. Nelly Ofebo. Then beside the woman on top is Mazi Eromono, by real name Sidney Davis, an American citizen who finds himself to be a Biafran and tracing his ancestry to Biafraland. Also under him is traditional Nwokede, Oliver Nwokede, traditional Nwokede, Dada, traditional Nwokede, Dada, Nwa Ududonka Kingdom. May God bless you for listening. I'll be back now. Let me attend to this call. Hello, bro. We're going to emphasize it. Okay. Sorry, that is how it goes. So I am about to begin to play the interactive section.
Okay, you wanted to say something. Let it be played. No, when we are running off, we will say something. When we are running off, I'll come back to that meeting. I really want to verify it here. So, but this is time for our viewers to talk, please. Okay. So, we say, we're going to talk about nature, maybe on your next visit. We're going to emphasize it. Okay. Yeah, hello, good evening. You're welcome to the program. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. You have 2 minutes, please. Don't be angry. We're running out of time. Of course, I would be. No problem. You are doing so especially you are doing so well. Thank you so much. Dr. Lady also, wow. You finally see her face. You are so beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes. I just want to appreciate you people for watching my video. And the way Dr. Nelly talk about this evening is so beautiful. So beautiful. Wow. You know, when you hear some people are trying to damage the people's image or all that because of their selfish interest, you will think it's that, oh my God, you will just be wondering. But now we are seeing the pictures, you know. But Dr. Nelly, they said that you will come out one day and say something marginal we can't go. So let's just wait. Since they said that you are not coming outside, you are not showing your face, you are self-required, this one because you are not showing your face. So let's see, maybe we will believe them after when you start cursing them out. You know what I mean? But I really appreciate and I acknowledge this history that, you know, and this our brother that said that is how it's done to Biafraland and he has met all the DPRs and all that. He said everything is documented and all that. I am like kind of, and that's the just this summer surprising. Now, person from America does he have to tell us our history. If you be Martin African, we have lost it for not before. And I've seen another person again from America narrating the stories of where we come from. Well, it's okay. We the children will lost, but we'll soon find ourselves and we'll all go back home. We will all go back home. And the traditional locally appreciate your story, visiting, everything. So nice, and I enjoy it. I do well. Thank you so much for calling me. Speaker, let me say something. In regards to what you said about our leader, Martin Vandepan, this is like a piece of advice for everybody. Anybody that crosses Martin Vandepan, it doesn't matter. Yeah, hold on a bit. The person is going to see him. The person is going to die. Anybody that has had hand in doing anything against Martin Vandepan, to hurt him, to betray him, to kill him, to talk evil about him, that person is bringing condemnation. This is a prophetic message. I'm telling you because it's the truth. And Elohim is my witness. You bring any evil against that man, you're going to die. So this is a piece of advice for people who are saying that I am going to come and there's no way because I want to live, I want to be alive. I can't, I know what I see. So, and it's a piece of advice for people who are saying evil or planning evil against him. Because they will face the wrath of Elohim. They're going to face condemnation. They will die. And that sin will be passed on to their children, even to the fourth generation. Please, it doesn't matter. Even if he's carrying poop in his head, it's not your job to condemn him. That is, you're condemning yourself. It's a straight condemnation. So forget about those people saying what they're saying. I know what I know, and I'm advising people. He is our Messiah, take it or leave it. He is who he is. God made him the way he made him. When Miriam said something about Moses, there are so many other excitations. God was angry. God said, I come down from heaven to be with Moses. I talk to him as a friend. I speak to him. He said he's not his friend. You are gossiping with my friend. That's what God, Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. Hello. Good evening, Sister Shiwe. Good evening. My name is good evening, Manzi, my good friend. Good evening, our American brother that sold their ancestors of slaves. So thank you for coming on this show this evening. Shiwe, I want to contribute on the names. You know when he was talking about the names, I was listening to him. Okay. He's right. Because one of our young man, the man is an elderly man. He said we were a clan. The man said we were a clan. Before invaders come and invade us. Those invaders, they were the ones selling our ancestors. So I sent you one video. There's the video that American people, the California people, they trace their ancestral land to Benin City. I think you will watch that video very well. I also send it to traditional one KD. So you guys have to watch it. Because the part of the people that find their DNA. You know, this our brother just mentioned something. He said Osuka and West Africa. West Africa means that area of Igodomi, you know, that place where open mixed farm. And traditional one KD, just say it now. He said the name is not Igbo. It was open. Open in our language means farm. The people that is farming. And there is a place where Oyo Fife said we were open. That area was open, no Igbo. So I think traditional one KD is right. Because just mention the name just now, then I will think. I want to go and look for that video where Oyo Fife said that word. Then these people were open. You understand? And you know, this our brother here that is speaking from America, he said the name was not Jehovah. It was you know, all our names start with Igbo, Itu, Ibibio, Izo, you know, all the names start with So that name, we need to find what is the meaning of that name. And traditional one thing say one thing, say they were calling our people, and this our brother said he was something, said they were black Israelis. You know, something is missing here. You understand? We have to go deeper. Because we are going to call somebody tomorrow morning in Ijoland. The guy will tell me more. I will call the man. He's an elderly guy. I will call him and tell him, look at what somebody just said. And then what is the meaning of that thing? You understand? So the name is, it matters a lot because when you mention it, he said we are open. That area, our area was open. It was the time that the people there, they were farmers. They call them open. You understand? So we need to go deeper and deeper because the California people, I will send you the video. I'm not saying you, I send it to many people now. The California people, a lot of them, trace their ancestral DNA out your names. Because that guy, that man said, when they come, seven children in the Bible. That's how we will be, our second father will be, with different languages. And I said, he said that they were living together, they are the same people. Until he heard us home, they now started selling themselves. You see, when they're telling me so many things going on, the people are already. Yeah, but you are going to hold on. You are going to hold on. I don't know whether I don't know whether he has something to say to you. Is he on mute? I think he's muted. Yeah. You're on mute, Stephen Obono.
I'm sorry. You were directing something to me?
You heard what she said. I don't know.
No, I couldn't hear her clearly.
I don't know whether you have something to say.
I couldn't hear her clearly. I'm sorry.
Was talking about the origin of our name. She was talking about the I in all our names, the Igbo. The origin was Igbo. When you say I, the same time, when you said that, she was trying to make connection. And she would like you to emphasize it a little bit more. Yeah.
I don't know that I am knowledgeable enough or competent enough to respond to that question because I'm not conversant in Igbo language.
Okay, maybe Wakedi has something to say. Maybe
you know what Ebo Mono said. He said that everybody have to do this settlement, and we don't have to do it with the anger. We have to do it with the forgiveness. I learned a lot there. You know.
Let me say with respect to that, my traditional Nwekeli Dada Nwa Udu Donka Kingdom. My brother. I love you, man. It begins with the individual.
yes,
Individual, yeah.
That's the most important thing that I might be able to say with respect to anything that I stated. That it begins with me. It begins with you. It begins with every individual here. It has to begin with the individual. Each of us as individuals have to come to that realization. Don't wait for someone to bring it to you. Don't look up to somebody to give it to you. It is in you already.
yes.
You have to become aware. That's all you got to do, is become aware. We all have to become aware that this is an individual work that we have to do as individuals, as well as a people, as well as a nation, as well as a community. It begins with you and me as an individual. You have to forgive. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do it. Don't wait for something from out of the sky to come down and tell you to do it. Don't wait for some man to give you permission to do it. You have the power. You have the power right now within you. All of us do. It has to begin with us. And when we all, see, it's all of us as individuals. When we come together as individuals, that's where the power comes. Because if we're looking for something to come out of the sky to sanction us as a people to do it, if you're looking for some God to come out of the sky like Mount Sinai and he's going to do it, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen to you and me as individuals. It's going to happen to you and me when we sit on our bed at night and we meditate and we think and we come into the awareness of who we are and we come into the awareness of who God is in us. The Bible talks about us being the temple of the Spirit. That's what you have to realize. You have to realize that the Spirit of Chuka Abiyama, whoever your deity is, whether it be Chuka Abiyama. We understand God as a spirit. That's the first thing you have to understand. And that Spirit of God dwells in you, in me. That's the awareness I'm talking about. And that's where we have to. We have to address it in ourselves as an individual. We have to come to an awakening, as it were. The Bible calls it being born again. The Bible calls it being born again. It's not a nation that is born again. It's you. The individual. It's me that has to be born again. All of us have to come into that consciousness. When we all come into that consciousness, that's where you'll see the movement take place. And you know what? It's going to take place by itself. We won't even have to do anything.
Exactly.
Naturally. So, my brother, I'm sorry for interrupting you. My brother,
You're welcome.
Yeah, friends, you are the line is open right now. We know me. When the time is up, I will close the line and you'll be calling. So if you want to call in right now.
Can I speak or you're waiting for call? I don't know.
No, okay, they're already calling. And anyone that's calling is 2 minutes, please. Yeah. Good evening. You're welcome to the program. Yeah. You're welcome. Yes, I can hear you. You're welcome to the program.
Okay, thank you.
Your 2 minutes just begin now. Start.
I have a lot to say. I have some comments to make.
No. Maybe you have to rewind. You have to come back again. Everybody has to call. We already run out of time. Look at it right now.
Let people share this video because everything has to start in this page. Everything started here. Share this video. Let us start doing it here. If what you are doing or what you are saying touches your mind, share this video. Invite other people. Let everybody come here.
Traditional Okedi, his 2 minutes just started now. 2 minutes, my brother, please.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The position of our brother from the US is. I'm not sure. It's kind of contradictory to me because I'm not sure what.
Hold on, there's something I said. There's something I said earlier. You don't dispute somebody here. If you have a contrary opinion, you come and give us your narrative, please.
Just I want to that. He doesn't understand. This person who comes from home tell us his name, village, and his town. What we are doing, the gods and the goddess of our ancestors who bring us in this program, will give us a knowledge and understanding to settle everything that we are about to settle here. If the caller have anything against a Romuno, let him tell us his village and his town. We will tell him the reason why he is doing like that.
2 minutes is going. I want to have done. You engage the line, please. 2 minutes. If you have a question, you ask your question.
Okay. So the brother from the I believe his name is David. I'm not quite sure where. Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, call him Eluomuno.
Because he started.
No, call him Eluomuno.
I said. Okay, thank you. And he began as an African reclaimed. He kind of reclaimed himself by going back to his roots and familiarizing himself with the traditions he was disconnected with, which would have been a very great story if he had left it there. But in the end, he came back again as a kind of as kind of confused, not knowing. I think he was in a kind of an identity crisis. And eventually, he had to say,
Sister Chidinma, let me tell you, you will contribute. Sister Chidinma, let me tell you something. If anybody calls here, the person have to tell us who he is. We are not more in the past life. We are now in the new life, new things. If anybody wanted, we are giving people orientation and rehabilitation and integration. If anybody call on this page, tell us who you are. We want to know who you are.
Okay.
We're not doing Chinese things here. If you want to call, tell us who you are, please. It's very important.
Yeah, you know why I have to cut? I said this, if you have a contrary opinion, the platform is open for you. And I said this brother did it last time, he's still doing it again. He's going to come out with his 27% level and say, Arrow, this is not what we're doing. Hello, we have a call on the line. Hello, good evening, welcome to the program. Have this atonement, regardless of what anybody said. Regardless of you, we're going to have this atonement because there's going to be a healing in the Biafraland. It's going to be a healing.
But you know, we Africa, we have one attitude. We are very open to strangers. When it comes to strangers, Africa is very open. So before even in the slavery time, it's not only Africa that was into slavery. The whole world was into slavery. But when Africa lost it, when they see the foreign company, they were also doing the slavery market with them. They think that it's a normal way of life. So slavery are being part of life in those days. So but our forefathers lost it by welcoming these evil people. And what I call it evil because they come as an angel into our land. They come as an angel, just to come and win our heart because they feel that they are part of us. And as a human, as a we see them as one as well. So but we didn't know that they have an evil agenda. So these people they can come with their smiling teeth and everything just to make us feel that yes, they love us and they have love in them. So I believe that our father, what they do that they feel that those people are part of us. That's why they actually relate to them. Just like we relate to ourselves now. That's what I see. Sometimes I don't blame this on father. We are even we still have this love of this attitude of welcoming strangers. We welcome strangers so that we welcome strangers we also welcome ourselves. We love the strangers. So this is what I can say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, but welcoming strangers. Don't get of selling their brothers now.
Chiwe, please, I direct this comment. We are talking about atonement. We're not talking about accepting strangers and all. It's not the point. This is what we need. We need to atone.
Atonement is what we are talking about here.
Atonement is what
Yes, you are talking about atonement, but welcoming stranger is part of the problem. Welcoming strangers in an unnecessary way or unnecessary ways are part of the problems facing Africa. I get huge amount of points from the caller. Dr. Nelly misses the point, and the rest of them are now dancing to the perception of Dr. Nelly. That is what makes me different, and that is what should make you different. We are talking about the problems facing Africa regarding traditions, regarding religions, regarding political colonialism, of which the caller is emphasizing on. It is the colonies that came into Africa pretentiously as good friends of Africa. Then they invaded Africa. The caller also made mention of wrongly welcoming strangers and carelessly allowing the strangers to invade us and divide us. This is exactly what had begun to happen from the days of our fathers, and it is still happening today. And from there, I begin to design inferiority complex of the Africa as part of their, as a component of African traditions, inferiority complex, psychological defeat of the Africans. The majority of Africans, examples being the Igbos, don't value what they have. They don't value what they have. And they may be acknowledging their own people at a time, but as soon as they see strangers, they will place a higher value on the strangers immediately over their people whom they have been with for a number of years. That is the mentality of an average Igbo man until today. That is the mentality of most Biafrans. And that is the reason, no matter how educated and no matter how financially rich, no matter how business inclined the Igbos are, they get themselves being subjugated by the rest of the people across the Zoological Republic of Nigeria. It is not always the fault of those people, but always the fault of the Igbos. So it is not wise for anybody to carefully welcome strangers to the extent of being relaxed to the strangers and permitting the strangers to be doing whatever they wish to do among the people. There is a limitation of acceptance to strangers in everywhere. Even though, like, for example, we living in diaspora, even though some of us had obtained European citizenship documents, like European passports, but so in some matters, they will always let you know, even without speaking it, their action will let you know that you remain a stranger, even though you are holding European nationality as your documents. And this is one of the reasons the Europeans had not intervened on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's extraordinary rendition. Rather, some Europeans are wishing him dead and wishing we Biafrans failure, because no matter how we relate with them, they have a line of limitation for our relationship with them, which most of us never knew. And most of us, even after hearing this message, will continue in that same pattern. But it is not beneficial to us. We Africans should, first of all, learn to evaluate what we have on our own, evaluate our own skills, our own talent, our own creativity, and also learning to develop ourselves without relying on strangers. Africans don't value what they have, apart from fellow brothers. Even our natural resources, all the talent that God has given to us, we feel inferior, and that is the reason we do not develop them. And also psychological conquest. We don't believe in the reality we know and discover by ourselves. We depend, even when we are doing things right, we depend on foreigners to approve it to be right before we know it is right. Even when we get the knowledge of the reality from the perfect source, different from the foreigners. And if the foreigners see what we do good and say it is wrong, we accept it to be wrong because it has been declared to us by the foreigners. Inferiority complex, loss of value system. Loss of value system is a major a part of the problems. So when we are talking about religions, Christianity being part of our problem, this has nothing to do with Christianity. It has nothing to do with religion, but it has to do with orientation, mindset. Because in this life, anyone or any people who do not actually know what they want, like most Africans do not know what they want. Most Biafrans up to today do not know what they want. People who do not know what they want open their hand to accept anything offered to them. So we never knew what we want. Our fathers never knew what they want. Our generation still do not know what we want. So that is the reason we have been mistakenly and will continue to accept anything that the world offers to us, without even we contemplating whether the offer should be beneficial or detrimental to us. Apart from this recent time that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is now leading the Biafra agitation, and also apart from the real knowledge of Christianity which I possess, because me individually, I know what I want and I know the right way to life, but I am just an individual and I can only do the little I can do. I cannot do what 1 million or 3 million or 20 million people can do. I can only perform as an individual according to my financial and muscular and knowledge and also designing capacity. I'm an individual. I cannot do more than an experienced individual. So that is the case. It is part of the problems. Our self-comportment our orientation, what I am doing here is developing psychological development. If we are not developed psychologically, the way we reason, the way we think, the way we perceive everything, and the way we react to everything, if we are not developed, we cannot develop infrastructurally, we cannot develop by lawfulness, we cannot develop by brotherly love. Other people will continue to control us. I want to tell us once again, in all over the world, people from all nook and crannies of the world are seeking whom they will control. So if we don't realize this, and if we don't control ourselves, other people must. We have no choice. Other people must control us. It is recent time we begin to realize this, and this is part of the problem. Inferiority complex. And the Western Africans who can sell themselves very cheap to others mostly are we the Igbos. The Igbos are too good. They are the number one to sell themselves very cheap to others. Other people, even there in the Zoological Republic of Nigeria, will never sell themselves so cheap to the Igbos, the way the Igbos sell themselves cheap to others. Until we realize this and amend from it, we cannot progress beyond everything. Forget about atonement. Atonement should be done. But without there is no better atonement than the right understanding. Even the Bible says it. It says, in all possession, in all your acquisition, acquire wisdom, acquire understanding, because they are the principal things. They are the most important acquisition. Wisdom and understanding. That is proper psychological development.
Your question or your comment should be based on atonement. How do we take this to done? Because we have a mission. We have to step into Biafraland, please. Atonement and what do you say again? Slavery atonement. Atonement is our key word here, please. How do you go about it? Tell us about atonement. How do we take this done? Hello? Hello, you're welcome. Okay. My name is Freedom Fighter. Yeah, and I just want to say something here so that it will be clear to all Biafrans worldwide. I know because they invite Olumulo. Yes. You know, so it's going to be somehow to people. But I just want them to remember that when Rihanna declared that she's an Igbo girl, everybody, all Biafrans was busy sharing it. Now because of Olumulo, because it is now in this platform, it was this girl is going to be somehow, you know, like people will be coming with their nomadic brain and be asking that is opposition or that is indirect or however question or all those things or looking for fun so that they will see something to say. But the reality of life is that Olumulo is an Igbo man and we accepted him. It doesn't matter where he come from. And we will see this more of him to wake up and also because they are all Biafrans who went there for slaves. So please do not confuse, okay? This platform is not to confuse. Any platform you see not to confuse. Not because of saying it's here now, you have to group it like something else. When Rihanna declared he's an Igbo, I know how we all Biafra share. I was the only one that told him that he told her that she should talk about the killings in Igbo now where she come from. So please don't be biased in your mind. Come with your mind and learn. We are all learning, okay, for Biafra to come. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful contribution. See, yeah, a wonderful contribution. So as we're waiting for our viewers to call, Chief Mono, please, can you talk a bit about Nnejugu? Because I will not be able to sleep well today if I don't hear more about Nnejugu. Sorry, I have to stress you today.
Nnejugu, right?
Yeah.
My understanding about what I was taught with respect to Nichuku came as a result of my having separated my understanding about spirituality and religion. I had to separate myself from everything that I ever understood about spirituality and religion to come into a consciousness or understanding about Nichuku. And I became a devotee of Nichuku, and I elevated Nichuku as the mother of God. The mother of God. It may sound strange to say that God has a mother. Well, the mother is God. That's what I believed at that time. I believe that the supreme deity of Biafraland, and I learned this from the DB as well, was Nichuku. And so I was a great devotee in Nichuku. And as a result, I was a great I came to respect the African woman very much. I began to have a great respect, almost a worship of the African woman and the place that the African woman held, not only in Africa but in Biafraland. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop. Any of you ever heard of him? Sheikh Anta Diop is spelled D-I-O-P. Sheikh. Have any of you ever heard of him? He is a great scholar, African scholar, out of Senegal.
From Senegal.
He's out of Senegal. He's late now. What he was so famous for, he proved from DNA, from genetics, that the ancient Egyptians and the pharaohs of Egypt were not only black, but their origins were West Africa. The pharaohs of Egypt. Sheikh Anta Diop. And so he also talked about the ancient cosmology of Africa was a matriarchal cosmology. That when you look at the Egyptian spirituality and you look at the Egyptian monuments, you see what I would call the goddess. I don't call her a goddess, I call her God. In the beauty of the heavens, the beauty of the heavens was her body. That is.
Hold on a bit.
Yes. So I came to the conclusion from my understanding of the spirit of Nichuku that Africa could never be free, would never experience freedom until the black woman, the African woman, is free.
Yes.
And so when I looked about Nigeria, when I looked about Biafraland, when I looked about Africa in general, but especially Biafraland, I saw how oppressed the African woman is. The African woman is oppressed. And not until she reaches her elevation as betokens her spiritual origins, will we make any progress as a community, as a people, as a civilization, or whatever it is that we want to achieve. Because she has to be free. The African woman has to be free. This is why I marvel, so to speak. I sort of kind of marvel when I see these women taking the charge. When I first came to Africa, I was looking for you. I was looking for Nelly. I was looking for Chinwe. I was looking for you. I said, where are these women at? How come these women are not making noise? They need to be making noise, these women. How come they're so silent? And I was looking for you back then, but you were not to be found. Now I'm looking at you. Now I'm looking at you. So you women have to speak up. You gotta talk. You have to open your mouth. You have to assert and realize who you are. You have to come into I amness. You have to come and realize who you are and lift us up. Because you are a mother. You are the mother. You are the incarnation. You are the manifestation of Nchuku. So that's all I can say about people. Achululu, isn't one, Catherine Achululu, she looked at me, she said to me, you have the spirit of a woman. I said, what do you mean? Because you have the spirit of a woman in you. Now, I took that as an insult. But what she was doing was giving me a compliment. Well, I realize that now, but I didn't realize it then. The thing about Alpha, that it recognizes that there's a female and a male side of the universe. Christianity doesn't admit that. Islam doesn't admit that. Judaism doesn't admit that. But African spirituality admits that. It's that there's a male side and there's a female side. And the way that I was teaching it, the way that I understood it, it was that the female side that gave birth to the male. The mother is the earth. God made Adam from the earth. Adam had a mother. There's nothing that exists that don't have a mother. The mother is supreme. Now, I have a different view of it now, but that's what I understood then, and I think it's to a certain great extent it is true now. And I think it is very wonderful when I see my African women speaking, coming out. I only have one thing to say to my African woman: beautiful, you're so beautiful. I love my African woman, and I don't think there's nothing more beautiful than a evil woman. May I say, when I go to Africa and I go to Ebenland, I love to watch the women. There's nothing like them. There's a certain thing about them, I can't explain it. They have a great spiritual thing. When I went to these shrines and I went to these devias, I would look at the figure of Mama Wata. I used to worship Mama Wata. I used to worship her. I used to go to the river now. I used to go to the ocean, and I would make my offering. I would make my sacrifice. I went to the shrine of Nchuku and I offered sacrifice. And I prayed. I prayed to her. And I prayed for my people. When I prayed to her, I prayed for my people. I prayed out. When I say I prayed for my people, I prayed for my people here in Africa, and I prayed for my people here in America. That this consciousness that I see happening now would eventually come. And I told my friend, my partner, Esiwan. I told her, Esiwan Catherine, actually, no, I said, I'm welled up inside with this information, with this knowledge, with this thing, and I want to communicate it, but I don't know how to communicate it. How can I reach my people with what it is that is in me? It's just burning up in me. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to get it out. You know what she told me? She said, "Don't you worry." She said, "Don't you worry. You don't have to get it out. You don't have to go looking for nobody. They're going to come looking for you." So I just sat back. And I didn't worry no more. And I'm just waiting for people. This is happening right now. My brother came to me. You took me straight to me. I didn't look for you. I wasn't looking for you. It just came out the sky, as it were. I was minding my own business. I had something to what you just said.
So we hear him speaking. In the process, he is psychologically empowering the woman with wrong motive. While sure, the African culture contains men's oppression over the woman. That is true root of the whole matter concerning the issue between African women and African men. He made mention of spirituality and Christianity, meaning that the spirit of Christianity is different from the African spirituality, the spirit governing Africa outside of Christianity. They are all different. And some people conceive that Christianity and the spirit of Christianity is the reason of Africa's problem, but most Africans already worship problematic spirits, knowingly and unknowingly. And we see him talking about visiting and going to Mami Water, that is the queen of the coast, and also making offerings, that is sacrifices, to the queen of the coast, and also worshiping her and praying to her. But people should be blaming the Christians for praying to Jesus Christ, or praying in the name of Jesus Christ as a result of their wrong conception. We are not to forget that this is the same man who clarified their audience that Jesus Christ is not actually a white God as they believe. He is the universal God, and he is not originally an European. Go back to my videos titled True Origin of Christianity. That is first one. Then True Origin of the Pentecostal Church. Then you get proper information. It is there you get the true origin of Jesus Christ as coming from heaven and born as a human in Israel, and not as an European, but Africans, idolizing their ignorance, never want to learn the reality, but they are persistent in being opinionated with their wrong conception and their wrong motives. That is the greatest hindrance for Africans' orientational advancement. Then we hear him saying, trying to place the women as supreme with his psychological logics, that everything has a mother, that the women give birth even to men. This is the European system of colonizing the African women, the Western system of colonizing the African women, because when they talk about women's rights, when they talk about women's rights, the way the Europeans practice their women's rights and the way women's rights is actually made of is not the way people conceive it and the way people practice it. Most women have been corrupted to believe that practicing women's rights means securing the social power, social authority from the government to enslave men. That is how the majority of women conceive it. Then on Mazi Eromono's narrative, he is trying to make us understand that women should be supreme. No, that is erroneous conception. It is an erroneous narrative. It is an erroneous projection, because it is aimed at establishing contention between men and women in Africa. That is where he is advancing, which will make the situation worse rather than bettering the situation. Then comparing it to Christianity and godliness. God created man and woman in the first place in the presence of Adam and Eve. And God created man first. And God gave man the leadership authority in the first place before even creating women. So it is the Satan. This is a satanic wisdom by influencing the woman. That is the reason when Satan encroached in the guise of a serpent into the Garden of Eden, he went to the woman. He never went to the man to deceive the woman first, and empowering the woman to influence the man to take over the leadership authority from the man. That is the reason, rather than Eve getting instruction whether to eat that forbidden fruit or not, she herself got the instruction from Satan and ate the fruit and also gave to Adam, while Adam succumbed to Eve. And that is exactly what is playing out from this psychological move as led by Mazi Eromono, Sidney Davis. So, talking about atonement and the Mami Waterism, it is all about going back to Egypt, going back to slavery, liberating us from the social slavery and pushing us into spiritual slavery, which should be worse than the social slavery. So rather than establishing the truth can only be God's way. There is no God's way here. What we are hearing is Mami Water way, Dibia's way, leading, and these are the people leading us. These are the people who believe and proclaim that they want to lead us into liberation. Yes, what the vital point he made there is that the Africans cannot be liberated unless the African women are liberated from within Africa. That is the key point, and that is a factual matter. African culture is made to enslave women, which must be abolished. But that does not make the women superior to men. God made the power of leadership first to men, then secondarily to women. Women should be assistant. It doesn't matter that women give birth to man. The women give birth, they will be controlling the people they give birth directly to, and not any other man they did not give birth. So the woman should be controlling that particular man, the child, and not a husband whom she did not give birth to. So this is a conflicting or a challenging psychological controversy being projected. So this is what I am hereby debunking, and also setting the record straight and bringing proper comprehension to ease of understanding. May God bless you. I have cited you, my man Nenem and the other people who may be watching right now as the program continues. So I will be rushing the program because at least in the next 1 hour, all of the program will come to an end.
This is very, very important because it has to do with what he said. What the priest said about the African, the black woman, the African woman, the Biafra woman being free, there is a physical aspect and the spiritual aspect. Biafra, the spirit of Biafra is a woman. And she's free. She is the woman that needs to be free. Of course, be free. The spirit of Biafra is a woman and she has to be free. She's going to bring that freedom to the entire black race. That's what I want to add to what you just said. Thank you.
Anytime our woman rises from America, Biafra is here, and even the women do not understand what the demand means. Now it takes a prophet to understand the prophet. Davis, Elomuno have said the same thing. You have been waiting for the woman to start talking, and nobody is talking. Because this woman, they make them to be going to church, and they bow down to the Reverend Father, and they give them Christian religious knowledge. I've been talking to them for a long time, and most of them become my enemy. They don't understand me. Because I want them to write, we say, Nega, and the children belong to their mother. And nobody understands this. All these things, Chinas and Moro, and all these people, the man is talking, and the man in South Africa are insulting our women. I am asking other men, where are they? They're not seeing all this thing that is happening. And they're not seeing all this thing to see Igbo men, somebody insulting our women, and it will become somebody who is answering Igbo name. Like Ikenga. Like insulting our women, and our people are just keeping quiet.
Let's take this call, please. We have to take this. He's been waiting. Please. Please. I need to say something about Biafra being born. they need to make their input, please. You're welcome. Okay. Hello.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Afternoon, welcome to the program, please. Yeah. No problem.
I just wanna say two things. I admire what the gentleman said about the African woman. It's really it's true. African women are one of the, if not the best, the most beautiful, and they are queens. And I think we should have more respect as men for our women. I also want to say I agree that atonement is absolutely necessary for the restoration of Biafra. I just have two things I just wanted to point out. The gentleman, the guest on your panel, he stated that God was called I am. When God told Moses, I am that I am. And it's absolutely true. I would like to know in the Aramaic or the Hebrew translation, what was he called from the gentleman? What was God called? In the Aramaic or the Hebrew language. According to Revelation 4 and 3, it says that when John was speaking, he said the one that sat upon the throne was like unto a jasper and a sardine stone. And when I look at the jasper and a sardine stone, it looks like me. But our guest said he forgave Jesus for being white. So I'm just a little confused because the jasper and the sardine stone doesn't look anything like a white man. And he also talked about Jesus has woolly hair when John saw him. Woolly hair and feet like born brass and so on. I could go on. There are lots of indication of what Jesus looks like. So I was just a little confused as to him being white. And when I'm reading, it tells me of someone of my complexion. And I realized the Igbo's history is parallel to the Bible's history. And I just want to know how, now, when I listen to the Igbos and their names, everything, all of their names refer them to God or to Elohim or to Chukokikabiyama. So he mentioned before that Chukokikabiyama was given by someone else. So all this is just confusing to me. So I just wanted some clarification because when I also listened to this program, The Renaissance, it shows that the Fulanis were used by the British, and the Fulanis are black. They were used by the British to enslave us, to capture us. So I want to know how, if you can also help me in telling me how I can forgive, those, like the Fulanis, for example, who keeps killing me today. I just want to know how he can help me with that. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to hold on for him to understand you. Just hold on. He asked you a question.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Those are great questions. When I say I had to forgive Jesus for being white, I'm not speaking of the Jesus of Revelation. I'm not speaking of the Jesus in vision. The descriptions we have of Jesus in the Revelation, the descriptions we have of Jesus or the Son of Man in Daniel are prophetic visions. They are not historical facts. When you look at this, I'm speaking about the historical Jesus. I'm not speaking about the Jesus of Revelation. I'm not speaking about the Jesus that John saw in vision. What John saw in vision, I mean, if I ask you what color are Jesus' eyes, and you're going to give me a description of Jesus' eyes, and you're going to go to the Revelation or to Daniel to give me a description of the color of Jesus' eyes, are you going to tell me flames of fire? That's not a color. That's a symbol. Let me finish. I'm speaking of the historical Jesus. I'm not speaking about the story or the revelation that John saw in vision. That's a visionary Jesus. Is that a literal or a historical Jesus? It's a Jesus in symbol. The words that come out of his mouth is a sword. Everything is described in symbol because each of those symbols have a meaning. But when I talk about Jesus being white, and I forgive Jesus as being white, I am speaking of the historical Jesus. I'm talking about the Jews that lived in Israel in the first century. I'm talking about the first century Palestinians, the first century Jews, the first century people that lived in the Mediterranean. My brother, and all of you people that live in Europe or live in the United States, go to a museum. Go to a museum, or you can go online to a museum. Do your research. Look at the people. Look at the demographics. Look at the history. Look at the economy of the people who lived in Palestine in the first century. Look at Josephus. Look at Philo. These were great Jewish personages. These were great people who lived in the first century, who lived in the time of Jesus. These people were Jews. Look at them. Look what they look like. Palestine, the Levant, the Mediterranean, let me finish. The Mediterranean basin were Europeanized for 400 years before Jesus was born. Palestine was Europeanized 400 years before Jesus was born. Go to the museum. Go to the museum and go to Africa. Go to the African section in the museum and go look at Egypt in the first century. You're going to be shocked. You know why? Because the sarcophagus and all the images of the first century Egypt, they're white people. The people who lived in Palestine, the majority were Hellenized. Do you know what it means to be Hellenized? Hellenized, it means the same thing as being Greekized, becoming like Greeks. The Hellenization area was in Europe. What I'm saying is that the Levant, Palestine, North Africa, they were Hellenized. They were Europeanized, just like today, North Africa is Arabized. We think that the people of North Africa, when we look at the people of North Africa, we're looking at Arabs. We're not looking at Africans. We're not looking at black people. But the people who lived in Africa before the Romans, before the Greeks, were all black people. Blacker than you, blacker than me. They were black. What I'm saying that I had to forgive Jesus for being white was because Jesus was white. When you look at him historically. So don't get upset when the missionaries present to you a white Jesus. Use the fact that he's white. Get past the race. Get past the race, because there's no such thing as racism. There's only good and evil, right and wrong. All this other stuff is a smokescreen. They got you believing in ism, and asm, tribalism, racism, all that stuff is fantasy. It's not real. The only thing is right and wrong, good and evil. Understand that. Once you understand it in its very simplest terms, then you understand what I'm talking about is that we have to get rid of everything that is evil, everything that is wrong. And that's why I talk about getting rid of the evil and the wrongness that is in us, because we all have it. And anger is the source of all evil. Anger is the source of all wrong. Anger is the source of all sin. It was anger that caused the fall of man. It is anger that caused the fall of the evil one in heaven. It was anger. And that's why I talk about anger. People don't understand the dimensions of anger. We don't understand it. If you did, you would abhor it. And so that's what I'm talking about. We have to give up this anger that we have. We have to come into when we come into ourselves, when you understand who you are, you're going to give it up. Because you're going to find out that we're all one. And that mankind, God made upright. Man has made so many inventions. That's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with inventions. Now, we talk about the fool of people. You know, there's some good fool of people, you know. I've met them. I have some very good friends. I've been to Kano. I have spoken at Balesa. I've given lectures in Balesa. I've given lectures in Niger. These people accept me as a fool. They know I'm evil. They know I'm evil. They look at me like I'm crazy. What are you doing among the evils? You need to be among the fuller. I said, I love my evil brethren. I love my fuller brethren. are full of people who are Pan-African. You know what that means, Pan-African? They recognize the brotherhood of all Africans. You have some full of people that recognize the brotherhood of all Africans. You have some spiritual people who are full of. You have spiritual people who are Yoruba. You have spiritual people everywhere. These are the people that we have to align with. And all of these people have the same mind. They understand what has to be done with Africa. They all understand that there has to be a reconciliation between us over here who are in America and our African brothers who are over there. You know, there are people here in Africa, in the United States, they're not evil, you know. They don't have no evil ancestry. They have other ancestry. They have Ashanti. They have Yoruba. They have Ibibio. They have Hausa. I'm talking about African Americans. They trace their ancestry, the DNA to these people. There is an African, there's a we have to be Pan-Africans. We here in America, us Africans in America, us Africans who are descended from Africans who are here in America, we are a pluribus unum. We represent all Africa. We don't speak up just for one thing. We speak for our entire people. We speak for the entire African continent. We speak for the entire black man. Man originated in Igbo land and he spread out all over the world. You know, I told you when I did my DNA, and I found out that my paternal DNA that I was a Scandinavian. They told me I'm a Scandinavian, and I rejected that. And I couldn't hold my head up no more. I couldn't hold my head up no more because I'm talking all this African stuff. I'm talking all this black stuff, and I'm being told that I'm a European. I'm being told that my ancestry is Scandinavian. I couldn't hold my head up. You know what? You know what made me hold up? I hold my head up now. You know why? You know why I hold my head up now? Because I found out
your family.
I found out that the original Scandinavian was the Igbo. I found that the original inhabitants of every land is the Igbo. The original inhabitants of Scotland, the original inhabitants of Scandinavia were the little people, the pygmies. You know the pygmies spread all over the world? Did you know that? The original man, the Igbo, you'll find their skeletons all over the world. You go to South America, you'll find pygmies in the ground. You go to Scandinavia, you'll find pygmies in the ground. You go to Asia, you find pygmies in the ground. You do the DNA of every human being on this planet, you're gonna find that their DNA is from Africa. Even the Chinese admit that. The Chinese are the ones who told us. The Chinese said, well, yeah, we have Africa. The original DNA is Africa. So when I found out that the original man had spread all over the world, had migrated all over the world, and that the original inhabitants of these nations, of these lands, were these little people, we call them the pygmies, the original man, the Igbo, when I learned that, then I could hold my head up again. Because I am the originator and the origin of all things. So I have nothing to be ashamed of. I had to forgive myself for being white. You know, I got white blood. I had to forgive my ancestors. Not only my African ancestors that sold me into slavery, I had to forgive my white ancestors who made me a slave. I don't have I love white people. I love white people. You know why? Because I love myself. I have to love white people because I love myself. I got white blood. I got the blood of all nations in me. Okay? So you understand that evil is the original man. That's like saying that the evil is God. God don't hate himself. So we can't hate the evil.
European DNA. For me, I do not have European DNA, and I understand why you said you love them. So you have to love yourself, and I understand that.
So we hear Dr. Eromono letting us understand that even the Palestinians had been Europeanized for 400 years thereabouts before the birth of Jesus Christ. The Palestine, that is when the Romans invaded that area, even Israel was Europeanized as well. it was the Roman emperor who sat in the throne of rulership as the Caesar, to whom the Jews met and demanded his approval of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, because the Israelis then were under Roman colonization, likewise Palestine. So this is to tell us that Africa is not the only continent that had been under slavery. But why is Africa still remaining in slavery and going deeper and deeper into slavery while other people are getting their freedom and advancing with their own freedom? The reason, the focal reason is that Africans have failed all this while to take up the responsibility of freeing themselves. And nobody can actually, no slave masters, no oppressor can willingly free his or her subject. Then the subject must do something that should propel the move to liberating himself or herself from the oppressor. And that is the responsibility we Africans failed to take, starting from our fathers to our present generations. And if we do not change that system, our subsequent generations will continue to serve under slavery and being happy with it, becoming obedient or humble slaves, continuing to advance our mental slavery. Mental slavery means thinking, someone or people thinking in a pattern that they always place themselves in the position of slaves, and in the process they place others whom they believe to be like them or others who are related to them in one way or the other in the position of the slaves. That is what mental slavery is all about. Anything that Africans have to do with the rest of the world, they consider themselves as conquered people and begin to present themselves as such to the rest of the world and are willing to accept any condition given to them by the rest of the world. And the world are not interested, the world members are not interested to liberating Africa, since Africans love to remain in slavery. So this is a fact we must understand. Then the Igbo being the origin of man, that is Igbotic philosophy and Igbotic superstition. God is the origin of human being and created the first human being in the person of Adam and Eve, and blessed humanity with procreation, that is having pregnancy and giving birth to fellow humans, and people continue to multiply until today. While people die, new people are being born on daily basis.
Okay, so do you know of Gary, or do you know, for example, the Igbos, they are descendants of who? Who are the descendants of the 12 tribe of Israel?
Are you asking me?
Yeah? Yes, I'm asking you.
Well, right now I am ambivalent on that subject. But I used to tell you, I used to say this. If you asked me this question in 2019 or before, this is what I would have said to you. The evil don't come from nowhere. Nobody made the evil. The evil didn't immigrate from nowhere. The evil are the original man. They are the people of the soil. They didn't come from nowhere. They came from God himself. They didn't come from Israel. They didn't come from Egypt. They didn't come from Ethiopia. They didn't come from West Africa. They didn't come from nowhere. They were always there. They come from the earth. They were the people destroyed. When people talk about, listen, I thought I was a Jew.
The topic was that they are from the tribe of God, for example, or they're from Israel. Just one example. But like, the reason why I said it, you're right, because according to Genesis, it says God made man from the ground. And if you look at everywhere, every ground you look at, it's either dark or brown. I've never seen a white ground yet, but media misunderstood that too. So I guess you would probably help me. But my point that I'm making here, because that's from Genesis, you could say he made man from the dust of the ground. And if it's dust of the ground, it's either like me or darker than me. So my point that I'm making, that I want to make. So that's why I'm confused when you say historically Jesus is white. So all this is confusing me. And I know you tried to explain it just now, but I mean, like, again, when I go back from the beginning of what you said, what I just said to you, it confuses me even more. So was Jesus purely white? Like when he was born, he born white from a black man? Like, I'm confused. And then the next thing is, he was from the tribe of God. And I guess any one of the focal lovely queens or king on the panel would tell you that. Now, if they're from the tribe of God, and God was a black man, and the children of Israel were black, how can David, or how can Yeshua or Jesus be white when he came from a black 12 tribe of Israel?
You know, I used to be very critical of your position, and the reason why I was very critical.
That's why I need some clarification.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, and believe me, I understand where you're coming from very well. I used to be involved in this discussion when I was in Igbo land, and my brothers didn't like me for the things I had to say. In fact, the things that I said, they didn't like it, and they didn't like it so much that they would threaten me to death. I received death threats from the things I was saying. And they told me that I would not, don't show my face, because if they did, I would be in trouble because of the things I was saying. Now I am ambivalent, but what I was saying back then was the reason why my Igbo brethren believe that thing that they believe was because they believe the Bible, because all that stuff comes from the Bible, and the Eagles don't come from the Bible. The Eagles were before the Bible, number one. Number two, Gad was the son of a slave woman, and the Eagles were never slaves. So I don't accept this mythology. I mean, you can accept it. I'm not going to say that if you want to be a Jew, you want to believe that you're from Israel, you want to believe you're from the tribe of Gad, God bless you. I'm not going to get in the way of you and your belief. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say to you that the Eagles were never slaves. The Eagles were not slaves. They have no origin as slaves. Gad was the son of a slave woman. And if you want to trace your ancestry to a slave woman, be my guest. But if I'm going to be claiming myself to be evil, I'm not going to claim to be something that originated from the Bible, because my people originated before the Bible was written.
I want to answer him that question. Okay. The first white people who came to Africa was Portuguese. Yes, I don't know the date, I don't know the area, the time, but the first Portuguese people, the first white people to come to Africa was Portuguese explorers. And they exploited a lot of this. They come with the ship, and they arrive in every corner with the lake and the stream, river, you know. And they started having children with those women. And that is why anywhere you see, all the places you see, all these children like us, we are fair in complexion because we have two rivers. So most of us, we trace our ancestors from Israel or from Portugal or from Germany or from anywhere. Even the European names have been changed. German names have been changing many years. This time they call Weimar Republic. I don't know who knows that one. That's time here called the Roman Empire, Romanist Reich.
I don't know, nobody, if people knows that. There's the time here called the Kaiser violence. Kaiser is a Caesar. It's the same Caesar that is in Caesar is in Italy or in Rome.
Yeah, that's right.
In Germany, when it's a Kaiser, you will see it here. Before they come to this Deutschland or Federal Republic of Deutschland or Dutch Democratic Republic, you see how the name changes. So those people born here today in Deutschland will say, I'm a Deutschland. But you don't know what the names here have been called in centuries ago. So those Romans who invaded Ethiopia or who invaded Africa, they have children with African women. And we need to answer our mothers, where did our father come from? Because Africa is a motherland.
Okay. I'll have to leave you now.
None of them is correct. None of their responses are correct regarding the origin of we the Igbos. Because biblically, and as we believe that we come from Israel and most especially from the tribe of Gad, according to Eromono, he said God was a son of a slave woman. That is a lie. It is not true. God is never a son of a slave woman. God is born by one of the wives of Jacob. His first wife was supposed to be, what is it called? Rachel. Then he was deceived by Laban that led him to marry Rachel's elder sister, who is Rachel's elder sister. Then in the process, there was a competition of who will give more birth to Jacob among the two sisters. So nothing makes the two of them slaves and slave mistresses. However, they had their various house help, female house help, whom they offered to their husband Jacob, whom he also married. The two of them, probably one of them gave birth, of which I'm not accurate. One of them gave birth to Gad, which is one of the 12 sons of Jacob. So the two housemaids were not slaves. They were housemaid. They were house help. And they were also legally married like the rest of the wives. So all of these claims are propagandas. It is propaganda not to believe in God's own history. That is God's own history. And also to incite we the Igbos that we accepting to be descendants of God makes us descendants of a slave, and that places us in the position of slave. So it is all about psychological attack and psychological conquest. He is trying to influence we the Igbos not to believe what we had already believed. For us to deviate from what we have actually believed, and in the process, he will set another theory which we will believe. And when we believe his theory, he will be the person leading us. And he will lead us to his own interest, to achieve his own interest, and the interest of his fellow spiritualists who worship the Mami Water and the rest of them. It is a psychological conquest, psychological invasion. That is what he is doing, without many people understanding it. And he has no factual proof about his own theory. Because some people may say, what is the factual proof that the Igbos actually came from the tribe of God? Okay, I do not have it. Then those who have the proof have it. But Eromono has no proof about either Igbos actually coming from the tribe of God or coming from elsewhere as he claimed. But the only truth there is that people had been in existence before the writing of the Bible. And remember, even Israel had been in existence before the writing of the Bible. So the first God's commandment began to be written on the tablet, handed over to Moses. Moses taking it to, handing it over to Joshua, and Joshua leading the Israelites into leading them into the promised land, which is comprising of the Canaan land, the Jebus, and the rest of them, the Jebus, which is today known as Jerusalem, and the rest of their neighboring cities and the regions, which has come to form Israel. So the Bible, the most especially the Old Testament of the Bible, all were written right there in Israel. And by the prophet, this is God's word. God speaking to his prophets, and the prophet declaring, "Thus says the Lord," and the learned, the secretaries of those days, putting all those things to writing. That is how the Bible came to be written. Then the New Testament is written by the Christian disciples, the disciples of Jesus Christ. And it is all about the events of the New Testament and about the prophecies of the New Testament, of which many have happened, many are still happening, and the rest of them will continue to happen until the end of the world. To know more about how the Bible was written and who wrote the Bible, go and listen once again to my video titled Authorship of the Bible. Authorship of the Bible. I think it has part 1, 2, 3, or part 1 and 2. Authorship of the Bible. Authorship of the Bible by Collins Ima. Then put it on YouTube. I think I have its video on Facebook, but if not, subscribe to my YouTube, then you will locate it, then you listen to it very carefully and diligently. You know how the Bible was written. You will also have a proper understanding to always stand against all the lies and fallacies being thrown at the Bible, because this is a satanic move by inciting the people to hate the Bible and ignorantly hating the truth that they should know from the Bible. This is exactly what Eromono is hereby repeating, which is an absolute lies and fallacy. It is not true. He is taking the step of recolonizing with the Igbos, with being supported by Dr. Nelly, Sister Chinwe Acholono, Oliver Nwokede, aka Traditional Nwokede, and all of the people who subscribe into this erroneous idea. So I am here debunking it and bringing the real knowledge, the real truth, the truth that people are afraid to speak, bringing it to a proper comprehension to all to whom it's interest to know the truth and nothing but the truth.
And Colin, thank you so much for calling. I'm going to put dots and dots together, and I just want to tell you motherland. It's already here. But where did our father come from? If your father come from God or from Israel or from Germany or from Roman, maybe your DNA have to say that. Because we, not only our people in America have to take DNA. In Africa have to also to take DNA to find our father, where our father come from. Because our mother black woman is in Africa. The evil DNA 450,000 years old.
Yes. Old.
How old is Israel? I rest my case.
How do you know that?
Okay, we have a caller here. Hello, good evening and welcome to the program.
That is his own philosophy, his own claim. There is no evidence for that.
Yeah, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, my brother. Welcome.
Needs to forgive their mothers. Even me, had to forgive my mother.
That's interesting.
Sidney Davis had to forgive his mother. When I forgave my mother, I entered into a new awareness. Just by that simple act, I actually went to my mother and I said, "Mother, I forgive you for the anger that I had that you gave me because you kept me away from my father." And I was angry and I didn't realize it.
So ungodly anger is part and parcel of the problem of the Africans, but they lay all of the allegations on Christianity and probably religion. So they have their personal shortcomings. Africans have their personal shortcomings that are the fundamental factors. And also I want to remind you that the Europeans and the rest of the Westerners and the Asians succeed to colonizing Africa because they take advantage of the weaknesses of the Africans. Africans are not realistic. Africans are too fictitious, superstitious, and also lax, reluctant to taking up their proper responsibilities. So whatever they discover, that they observe that we love so much and we love foolishly, then they will manufacture, counterfeit, or adulterate it and give back to us. We continue to dabble over the thing while they will be busy taking the goodness of African land, all of our resources, where we'll be there dumbling for crumbs and nothing because we don't take things serious. And also self-hate. Africans hate themselves. So we first of all must develop to love ourselves. The Europeans succeeding to enslave Africans is because Africans hate themselves. And the majority of Africans those days, even today, they prefer negotiating, cooperating with Europeans to sell out their fellow Africans rather than to relate with their fellow Africans to develop African. Orientational problem. Then I want to...
From the same mother. Yes. Sister Nancy, Sister Princess, and my great dear friends, I say welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching us from. Your sisters are here again in that platform where truth rains like water.
This video you are listening now was streamed Thursday 18th.
That was the game
this
of
November
Britain.
2021.
They know that
2 days ago. I want to pick a key word from her, then the program will come to an end.
Is very, very formidable. So they gave the Fulani oligarchy the idea to fragment us, divide us into bits and throw us here and there, so that we'll be all over the place and we can make any impact. And they started indoctrinating, infiltrating ideas that will bring more division, that will make us hate each other. Where the other? Now, they brought about the culture of men superiority and men,
Europeans brought the idea of men's superiority. No, that is not true. The Europeans never brought the idea of men's superiority. Rather, Africans have the culture of men's superiority, which is a form of slavery by the men over the woman, of which I am also against. But the Westerners, the invaders, the colonists, they discovered that we have such a culture. Then they help us to advance it. They helped us to advance it. What they did is advancing the African culture of man's supremacy, which is designed to be man's enslavement over the woman. Actually, God created man there is what is called hierarchy. God created man from the beginning to be the leading person. But God never meant it to be a slavery matter. It was about love affair, exchange of love, reciprocation of love, humility demanded by the women, while proper love expressed by hospitality and care of all ramification is required of man over the woman. That is how life is being made by God originally. We should make life and the earth a very tranquil and peaceful place to live in. That is the reason Jesus prayed and said, "Thy kingdom come and thy will be done on earth as it is done in heaven." But Satan and human beings, even the women who are hustling to take over power of leadership from men, because this is another move, and it is also a psychological destruction for women to develop that idea that they need to take over power back from men. This is a power battle over leadership power, and this is the orientation being developed in them, which they are pushing ahead, and it has been so destructive. And that is the reason, even here in the West, in the Western world, most African men do not enjoy their marriage. Even yet, those who are not yet married entertain fear to marry, because if you make the mistake of marrying the women who have the mentality of woman superiority, who see marriage as a battle, as an issue of battle, then they will come into the marriage or whatever thing you are doing with them with that concept, and trying to suppress the man with the idea of woman's supremacy under the guise of woman rights, which is being practiced in the Western world, and most especially by African women, and to be precise, by the Biafraland women, and more so to the Igbo women in diaspora.
The power of women came to the Western world and made the women powerful and made us, subjects of a baby factory and voiceless. However, the Umada, the glory of God, is one culture that nobody can stop. So that division is a way of making us powerless. That was why when they told our leader, Ohamadike, to go with the 5 states of core Igbo, Ohamadike said, "No, I will not leave any of my blood languishing in anywhere they're not supposed to be in the zoo." That is why Ohamadike says referendum is the answer. We must do referendum so that our family, our siblings in Igodomigodo, our siblings in Ebonyi, our siblings in Kogi, our siblings in Oyo, siblings everywhere, we determine where they want to be. We must bring everybody home. That is the role of our dad in the family. I want my people to know this. Princess, please mute yourself. Me? Mute yourself. No. Princess Odonogo. Yeah. No, I want my people to know. I'm getting problem with my this thing. I don't know the problem. Whether to come back here. I want my people to know one thing, that problem identified is problem half solved. For me, what makes us, we have identified that what makes us, weak is division. And that is why we have started bringing ourselves together. We must come together. It is a task that must be accomplished. It doesn't matter. They can call us any name they want to call us. They can do anything they want to do to us. We must come together. We, the daughters of the land, all over the place, scattered like Uba, we must come together. We've started. And this is the beginning of bringing the whole family together. Backward never, forward ever. We, the mothers of the land, scattered all over everywhere. It doesn't matter wherever they have fragmented us into. We must come together. We must come together and do an atonement to remove this ancestral cause that is pulling everybody. This sin of the decades and sin of the ancestors that is holding us down. We continue living in the past. We must learn to leave things and move forward and move on with the new train. And the women are the only ones that will do it. That is why we are saying every mother from the coastal, from
it is a lie. The women are not the only ones that will do it. This is also a psychological attack to make people believe that men cannot do it. Men can always do it. I'm also not trying to deny the fact that there are women who will be part of those who will make it happen. But to deny or to claim that the women are the only people who can do it is an absolute lie. It is a projection of the concept of women supremacy, which God and the Bible condemns, but it is a satanic wisdom being implemented by the Luciferians, by the Satan emissary in the guise of world politicians or whatever, or the globalists, whichever term they choose, they prefer to be given to them.
From Iguacha, from everywhere, Calabar, rise. Yes, rise. We want formidable women of substance. We want women who will not be deterred by any name they call you. Women who have a mission that needs to be accomplished, that will not be looking at what side attractions are going out there, that will bring this family together. That is why we are here. You see, restoration of Biafra is a task that must be accomplished. It doesn't matter whether MK is there or not. He has done what he's supposed to do. It doesn't matter whether some few people go and take money from here and there. It is a task that must be accomplished. But the mothers have reason to know that their children are scattered all over the place and we must bring them home. From the atrocities of our forefathers, that our blood are all over Europe, all over America, all over everywhere. We must come back. We are going to be the first and most formidable black nation in the world. It is coming. It is written. It is a divine assignment. It must be accomplished. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody does. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Biafra is a divine accomplishment that will bring black race together. Your oppressor can hold you for a while, but it's not going to hold you for it. Like I was saying, I was listening to this thing the other day. America knows that Nigeria is sitting in a compounder. They're sitting on top of a compounder. That when it's going to explode if case bring scripture here. I think it's in Proverbs, where he was talking about what the Lord said he hates. He said what he hates is the greatest one. He hates anybody that puts what do you call it, a seed of discord among brothers and sisters. I don't know who has put this seed of hatred. We hate each other and love our enemies. You know, I was discussing with somebody today. He said to me, when they said they wanted to enthrone somebody, an Igbo man in a dome, where they call a dome today, which is a do, economy dome, people revolted, but now they have put Sariki of a dome, and nobody's talking. They have also installed these Sarikis in Igbo land, nobody's talking. But what is your brother that rises up? You see all of us fighting each other, killing each other. What is going on here? This has to stop if we really know what we're looking for. We have to start loving one another.
Thank you, Sister Chinwe.
For what you just said now, please, before I forget. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Okay.
Everyone, you welcome Adakata and my beautiful sisters from the same mother.
Yes.
Sister Mercy, Sister Princess, and my great Biafrans. I say welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching us from. Your sisters are here again in that platform where truth rains like water.
Yeah.
And nothing can stop us. Sister Chinwe, you know, that was the game of Britain. They know that the fight of number is very, very formidable. So they gave the Fulani oligarchy the idea to fragment us, divide us into bits and throw us here and there, so that we'll be all over the place and we can't make any impact. And they started indoctrinating, infiltrating ideas that will bring more division, that will make us hate each other. Now, they brought about the culture of men superiority and men, chauvinism, where the power of a woman is stripped away, and then we are voiceless. We said it last week, they took his voice, his men, to give them a backup, and that was how they pursued the Fulanis. So, like all people scattered all over the place, you must raise your hand to show that you are done it. The way Sister Princess and Sister Mesa have come here to identify that they are being subjected to inhuman treatment in their own land. They have raised their hand, and no matter how good they are here now to pull out their hand. We must raise our hand to let us know your interest and you want to be pulled out. And this I'm talking to other sisters and other Biafrans all over the place that have not risen up to this occasion. You must rise up now. We are ready to pull you out, and we are ready to move, and we must accomplish these goals. Women put the family together. They can call us any name, don't pay attention to that. But when it comes to putting the family together, the woman puts the family together. The same prostitute puts the family together. Without the prostitutes, the family is gone. So don't pay attention what make sure.
That is also a lie. It depends on the kind of a woman or the kinds of women. There are two major kinds of women, and there are two major kinds of men: virtuous women and odious women, virtuous men and odious men. Then if you read the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom, the Bible, the book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs 14, verse 1, make mention of these two kinds of women, which says that the wise woman builds her house, but the foolish woman scatters her house. So it is not every woman that is a home builder, but there are still home builders among the women. So the reason I am debunking it is she is trying to make us believe that the women are the only people able to build the home. That is a lie. It is a total lie, and it is a psychological conquest. Before people will defeat you in everything you are dealing with them, they must first of all defeat you psychologically. That is defeating your ideas, nullifying your ideas and establishing their own into your own heart. You begin to reason based on their own idea, and when you reason upon their idea, they have control over you. That is the step she is taking according to her statement, and all who subscribe into that ideology, which is nonsensical and demonic. So there are men builders, there are women builders, there are also men scatterers and women scatterers. They're making mention of men from points of reality, which is from God's word. Say that violent men earn or win, get riches, but gracious women gain honor. Violent men, that is men, the perverted men, the immoderate men. Then talking about virtuous men, you go to Proverbs chapter 19 verse 14, which says that riches and houses are inheritance from fathers, but a good woman is from the Lord. Meaning that we say riches, and they say inheritance, this is legacy, good legacy. Riches and houses and moral legacy are inheritance from fathers, which means there are good men who leave inheritance or inheritances to their nuclear family and to their subsequent generations, while there are odious men who make the money and misuse the money selfishly and without caring about the future of their family and of their children. So then I want to also to talk about the hatred among the Africans being caused by spirits of downtrodden. Most Africans have the spirit of downtrodden. Most Africans think backwardly. What I mean is, an average African man has the concept that for him to go up, he must bring other people down. And that is the reason, out of envy and jealousy against each other, they will be bewitching themselves, while the enemies will be encroaching into them and be taking away the good things they are fighting for. Then they will prefer to take side with the enemy and eat from the crumbs that fall from the enemy's table, rather than permitting their own brothers and sisters whom God has given the grace to be on top. Their envy and jealousy will not permit them. An average African has the spirit of Cain. They fail to do the right thing they should do, but they will envy the Abel who does the right thing, and God blesses him, to the extent of attempting to murder him or succeeding to murder him. That is African mentality for you. An average African man or African woman has the concept of downtrodden. The idea they produce is how to bring others down to be on top. But the Westerners among themselves, they project the idea of investing on others and also benefiting from those they invested in, which is quite different and contradicting to the African mindset. May God bless us as the program has come to an end.